Right, everything is now fully wired up. Everything is completed. So we'll be going on to do some voltage checks and check the bias of the EL84s. A couple of things I will mention. I did all the flying leads on the back as it looked quite cramped here for wiring in the valve sockets, but I didn't bother when I was putting the or doing the wiring for the pots. Now that was a mistake. I should have done all the flying leads, all the leads going out from the turret board before I started wiring them in. The issue I had was one of the underside links actually dropped out due to presumably me overheating the turret, and as a consequence it was a real pain to get that back in, because this only came to my notice when I was doing the final checks on the components, doing measurements and checking the continuity between those various turrets that we'd wired into, where I didn't get any continuity at the end here and here, between there and there, or between there and there. So I had to ease the board out, and it was extremely fiddly. The other thing I would probably do next time, if I was to do this build again, was I would pull these sockets out and flip them over the top, or wire them in after. I'll leave them out and wire them in after I'd done the valve sockets, because again, got very, very tight and cramped around here. But apart from that, we're now ready to do a final test. So first thing we need to do is check that there is a safe earth between the inputs, sleeve of the input, and the earth of the mains plug. Which we have got. Right, so we're at least safe there. Oops, come off. But there's no connectivity between the live side, but the sockets are okay. Right, I am now going to plug it in for the first time. Switched off. And we'll take some voltage checks, so we'll move it to volts AC. $237 currently. So, right, switch on. We have an indicator light. Bit of a buzz there I can hear from the input transformer. Right, let's leave it on AC, and let's check the heater wiring. So 6.8. Six point 8. 6.8. And 6.8. Right, switching it to DC. Check the B plus, and we're showing 378. Right. Now we'll switch off now, and then I'm going to pop the valves in, and we'll then check the bias. Right, now what I've got to do is remember where I put my valves. Oh, there they are. Right, not forgetting the dummy low before we switch on. Again, a little buzz in the background I can hear from the transformer. Let's hope that's what it is. Check the tubes, see if they're heating up. Yeah, all tubes. Let's just switch off the lighting a moment, check the tubes. Right, all tubes seem to be heating up nicely. So what we're going to do to check the bias, I'm going to use the output transformer method. So I'm going to measure the voltage drop across the primaries of the transformer on each side. So that's pin 7 and the center tap. So onto the center tap and onto pin 7. And I've got on the outer tube 5.75. Just write that down. 5.75. And then 6.7. Just measure the other one again. Yep, 6.7 on the inner. Now I'm going to measure the plate voltage, which is between the cathode on pin 3 and the plate on pin 7 of each valve. Oops. And we've got 3347 on the outer. And then on the inner, 3337. Right, so now I need to switch off and measure the resistance across the primaries of the output transformer. So switching this now to ohms. we have on the outer 1892, and on the inner 1845. Right, so take our calculator. Now on the outer tube we had voltage drop across the primaries, we had 5.75, which we divide by the 5.75 divided by the resistance of 189.2, which equals 30.4 plate current, or 0.304, which we can then multiply by the plate voltage times 334.7, which equals a dissipation of 10.2 watts. And then going for the other one, which we have 6.7 voltage drop with a resistance of 184.5. So 6.7 divided by 184.5 equals 36.3. Multiply that by 333.7 equals, well, that's a really badly mismatched pair, because that's dissipating over 12.2. So that's a really badly mismatched pair of valves. So what we can do is we can recheck the reading by a different method, which is using the cathode resistor. So measuring the voltage of the cathode, the impedance of the cathode resistor, 147.3, 147.3, and then turning on the amp. Let it settle down for a bit. And measure the voltage drop across. So switch it to volts DC. And we get 10.7. 10.7 divided by 147.3 ohms equals 7, or 0.073. So divide that by 2, and that's 0.36. Now multiply that by the plate voltage, which is averaging 133.4. 0.036 times 334 equals, yeah, so that would show about 12 watts. So there's something definitely a bit amiss. One tube is definitely running a bit too hot, which is the inner tube, this one. So I think we're going to try and get a better matched pair of EL84s and see if that makes any difference. Okay, so firing it up again. We won't have to check the voltage at the primaries, but we will check the voltage drop again. Volts DC, right. Six at the outer. And on the inner, 6.1. So again, doing the calculation, 6.6 divided by 189.2 equals 34.9. 6.1 divided by 184.5 equals 33.1. Now, let's check the plate voltage, make sure that hasn't changed. So, 332. Three, three, three. So plate dissipation with this pair of tubes. 34.9 times 332 equals, oh sorry, 0.0349 times 332 equals 11.6. and 0.0331 times 333 equals 11. So we've got 92% on the inner one, and 97% on the outer tube. Okay. Check the average setting across them both again. We've got the resistance. Check the voltage drop across the resistor. 11.1. So 11.1 divided by 147.3 equals 0.075 divided by 2 equals 0.37. Multiply that by the average of the plate voltage, which is 332.5. That's giving me an average of 12.5 watts, which is, again, EL84 really has a dissipation of only 12 watts. So that's running at 104%. So again, a bit hot. So we may have to do something about the resistor as before. I could do a check a little later with the my bias probes, but I don't think that would add anything to it. As I say, I do tend to like the valves to run at just under 90% with a cathode bias, personal preference. So we can look at increasing the value of the cathode resistor and see if that will make a difference. But using the transformer primary output method, we're getting under the 100%. We're getting 97% and 92%. So I think we'll leave that while we do a test with the speaker cab and a guitar, and see how we go on from there. So I'll take it down the studio and plug it in and give it a bit of a test drive. So I'll be back shortly. went to do some repairs on the amp to rectify the issues that I found, only to discover my soldering iron, which I've been using for the last 15 years, was dead as a dodo. Checked the fuses, nothing going. Now, I have been aware that it was taking more and more time to recover when I'd cleaned the tip, so suspected it was on the way out anyway. So thank you for your 15 years worth of service. My trusty Maplin's soldering iron, which I paid £7.99 for, and in with, well, exactly the same, now branded as Duratool, which I paid £20 for. But not bad increase for the last 15 years, I suppose. And if this lasts for 15 years, like the other one did, then that'll be all well and good. Okay, I've been having all sorts of problems when I've been trying out the amp so far. Discovered a couple of loose connections, dealt with those, and the final piece in the jigsaw, I hope, is this jack socket, which seems to be defective in that when there's no plug-in, it's not earthing out through the it's not connecting here, so you actually have to press it down to get it to. Did try and crimp it down, but no success there. So this is a defective jack socket, which is a bit of a pain. I've pulled another jack socket from a piece of kit that I've got that I'm not using at the moment, and these are, although they're sort of generic no-name types, they do have the advantage that you can actually put a pair of pliers on here and crimp down the connectors, but this one's fine anyway. So I'm now going to substitute in this one for that one, and hopefully that will fix the last of the problems I'm getting, which are overly sensitive to and breakthrough. I seem put anything near this end of the board only when the volume's up on the normal channel. There are issues, so I'm hoping this will resolve those issues. Just a bit of a pain to have to replace this one socket, as they're well, just a bit too cramped for my liking, and all the wiring in there. But it is what it is, and we'll have to get on and do that. So check to see if I have another 1 meg resistor, and then I can just snip everything off and start again. Yep, I've got a fresh 1 meg resistor, so let's just measure that, make sure it's in spec. Yep, superb. Right, so we can now sub in that, so I can just snip everything out and just toss that socket. We'll put a new piece of wire in there as well. Well, that's the end of that switch. Oh dear. Right, I wonder if I have one of those in my stash. If not, well, I'll carry on wiring up the a bit of purple to the thing ready to go, and replace the switch. Well, this is turning into a bit of a disastrous day for wiring up bits of amplifier. A spacer washer to go in there to push it a bit further back, but essentially. Right, let's go and check my stash again to see if I've got a replacement switch. And the answer is, fortunately, yes. So let's just check it, make sure it's working okay. Be a real pain to actually wire it in and then decide that, oops, right, so that's fine. So, more wiring. Let's pop down and get my speed socket so that I don't scratch the face here, and we'll pop this one in. So, new switch in, replacement jack socket, all wired in again, all ready to go. So it's off for a test drive. Okay, preamp valve volume set at 9 o'clock, everything else set at 12 o'clock. Normal channel, PRS humbuckers. It's quite woolly sounding to my ears. Let's go on to the bridge. I should imagine my vintage P90s are going to sound so muddy it's untrue. Right, into the T-boost, everything else set the same. That's quite nice. Right, let's go in. So now we should have a, well, let's turn down this. So now it should sound almost the same. So we should be getting a bit more body and warmth for the sound.